So the popular sport is like cricket, but in previous times, they would debate. This debate would be like a very great. So there is this in Srirangam. There is one great Pandit. He's Digvijay Pandit. Digvijay Pandit means he's conquered all the directions. He's very learned, and he's coming. This Digvijay Pandit is coming, and he's very proud. And when he's coming on the palanquin, palki, he's seated in the palanquin, and 4 people are carrying him on the shoulders, and he's coming to Srirangam. And all the scholars are very afraid. They are like, they don't want to debate because debate and you get defeated means it's a shame. So they are having all this procession with these elephants and this band, and they're announcing that Digvijay Pandit has come. So as I recall, so when he came to Srirangam, so everybody was very scared. But there was one little boy, 5-year-old. His name was, he later on became a great devotee. He's Parashar Bhatta. So he was playing, and he saw this person coming on the palanquin, and they were announcing that there is anybody wants to debate, this Digvijay Pandit, please come forward. So this little boy, he was playing in the sand and with his friends. So he says, yes, I have a question for you. I want to debate with you. So this Digvijay Pandit is thinking, 5-year-old boy, what is the great thing about him? Why he has to debate with us? He didn't take him very seriously. So then he said, he picked up a palmful of sand, and everybody was watching. And he said, can you please tell me, if you know everything, can you please tell me how many grains of sand are there in my hand? And nobody ever asked him such a question. So he kind of stepped down from his palanquin, and everybody was watching. And he said, he kind of admitted defeat. And this small boy, he took the palmful of sand and he threw it. And he said, all your learning and all your knowledge is useless because you are so proud. A tree that is laden with fruits always bends down, but a tree that does not have any fruit is always standing erect. So all this, pomp and show that you have is really useless, because despite all your scholarship, this has not made you humble. This has only made you proud. So then Digvijay Pandit accepts defeat, and he becomes, he apologizes for it, and he comes to his senses. So this Parashar, this small boy, is Parashar Bhatta, and he used to stay in Srirangam. So he had many disciples. So one day, one of his disciples asked him, so what are the qualities of a person who is close to God? How will you know a person who is close to God? How will you recognize him? What are the qualities in him? So he said, that is a very, very good question, because we all want to know. Like in Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna is asking, how does he sit? How does he talk? How does he walk? A person who is situated in transcendence, what are his symptoms? Everything, just like a diseased person is known by his symptoms, a spiritually advanced person can also be recognized by his symptoms. So he's asking, what are the qualities of a person who is close to God? So Parashar Bhatta says, yeah, that's a very great question. Ananta Acharya, who is a disciple of Ramanujacharya, he lives on the Tirumala hills in Tirupati. You go and ask him, he's the best person to answer this question. So now Srirangam is in Tamil Nadu, and Tirupati is quite far from Srirangam. And in those times, there were no aeroplanes or you cannot just do some email communication and say, talk to Anantacharya and say, please send me one other person. If you want to know the answer, you have to personally go and meet that person and inquire from him. So this is like 1,000 years back. So there was no like modern conveyances like buses and very. So, but he is very inquisitive to know. This is one quality of spiritual seeker. He is very inquisitive. So Prabhupada says, unless you want to know your ultimate benefit, don't accept a guru. Tasmad guru prapadyate jigyashu shreya uttamam. Unless you want to know your ultimate benefit in life, then you need a guru. So otherwise don't keep guru as people keep a dog, like a fashion. In one lecture he was saying that. Or just to have some spiritual name. There may be so many motives for accepting. So he walked from Srirangam, which is like around 700 miles or 800 miles, I don't know how, maybe less, I don't know, 500 miles. So he walked through all the forests and all the animals and everything, and finally he comes to this 7 hills. He crosses over the 7 hills and he goes and meets Anantacharya and he says, Parashar Bhatta has sent me to ask you this question. What are the qualities of a person who is close to God? And Anantacharya says, you come such a long distance, it took him like months to traverse that distance. Why don't you take some, we'll address your question in due course of time. You can take rest and, have prasad. So he started, and then he gave him some services that, I have a garden, you do some gardening. Now Anantacharya is a great devotee. Actually Ramanujacharya told him to, because those times Tirumala, Balaji, it was very remote, it was a very isolated place. Now so many tourists go. So he had sent Anantacharya to create a flower garden so that he could supply flowers for the worship of Balaji every day. So Anantacharya had gone there with that intention. Even though he was, Ramanujacharya used to stay in Srirangam, and he had to separate from his guru like by distance, but still he, on the order of his guru, he went to this Tirumala hills. So 6 months passed and he gave him different kinds of services. He was doing pot washing and all the different gardening, and he was doing menial services. And Anantacharya is not saying anything, he is not speaking anything about this question, and the disciple is also not, he's humbly serving, he's not feeling like asking. So one day there was a big festival in the forest somewhere. A lot of people came. So he had been given the service of serving those who had come. So first batch of people came, so he served them. Then he sat down to take prasad. But meanwhile, another batch of people came. I don't know if anybody knows that story. Okay. So another batch of people came. So his guru says, no, you cannot eat now. There is another batch of people waiting. You have to serve them first, then you can eat. Then he served them, then still more people came. So like that, everybody had eaten, and everybody had left, and it was night. And the only 2 people, Anantacharya and his disciple from this devotee, disciple of Parashar, but he was there. So then Anantacharya is telling him that, remember 6 months back you asked me a question. Do you want to know the answer? He says, yes, Guru Maharaj, I want to know the answer. Please tell me. And he says, a person who is close to God is like salt, he's like chicken, he's like a crane, and he's like you. And he didn't say anything, and he went. So this person was thinking what to make of this, This is like very enigmatic answer. I cannot make salt. What is salt to do with salt or crane, chicken, and meat? Couldn't figure out. But that's all. He wouldn't speak anymore. So with this answer, he went back all the way back to Srirangam. So again he had traveled for months together, crossing all these mountains, and he went and he meets Parashar. And he says, so did you get your answer? He says, yes. So what is the answer? And he says, the person who is close to God is like salt, is like chicken. And Parashar started clapping. He says, wonderful, wonderful. And this person is like thinking, what's going on? I cannot understand anything. And then he says, like crane and like me. Oh, what a comprehensive answer. It's like, he's very happy. Then he says, Guru Maharaj, can you please explain what it is? So he says, a devotee is like salt. What is the quality of a salt? Salt, in any preparation you make, you put salt. If the salt is too much, then it becomes unpalatable. You cannot eat. If the salt is too little, also it becomes tasteless. You cannot eat if there is salt. So he says that salt has to be very balanced. The salt has to be very balanced in the food. It cannot be too much, cannot be too little. So similarly, a devotee is very balanced. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also, one who eats too much, one who eats too little, one who sleeps too much, one who sleeps too little. So although he is pursuing Krishna consciousness, he also has time for his family and he has material responsibilities. So he is very balanced, just like the salt in the preparation. Other quality of salt is, you make a nice preparation, but nobody says, oh, the salt in this preparation is fantastic. Nobody praises the salt. But without salt, it gives flavor to the preparation. All the spices you put. Without salt, you cannot taste any spice. It doesn't have any taste. But it gives flavor to the whole preparation. But the salt is always in the background. It is not, nobody praises the salt. Similarly, a person who is close to God, he is not seeking personal, he doesn't have his personal desire for personal fame and name and fame. He blends into the whole thing, just like salt. He gives flavor, he serves everybody, but he's always in the background, just like the salt. So that is the quality of a salt, very balanced. Then, what is the other quality of salt? You can think that, So then, chicken. So what is about chicken? So he says, chicken goes into a place of garbage. Sometimes in India you see the cock or the chicken is going, and it is going and searching everywhere, and suddenly it finds some nourishing seed, seed or something, and it picks up the seed. So chicken is always looking for, even in the dirt, the chicken is looking for the good part, the essence. So a person who is close to God, he is always seeking the essence of spiritual life. He is not concerned with all the. He always tries to see good qualities in others. Like Srila Prabhupada, he actually had this quality. He would see a small spark of Krishna consciousness in somebody, and he would fan that spark. Little. Even one time he was giving a class in 26th Avenue, and one drugged or something intoxicated person came, and he put some toilet paper in the bathroom. And Prabhupada even appreciated that. See, he has also the tendency to do service. So he always looks at the good in others. And this is also like a devotee always is like a honeybee. Honeybee goes from flower to flower, always looking for the nectar. Whereas a fly, Fly always seeks, or crow. Crow always goes to a place of garbage, where dirty things are thrown and always tries to get something. So a devotee is like a honeybee. He always looks at good qualities in others. So that is about chicken. And crane. What is about the crane? So the crane is standing in the water. He is looking down. And so many fishes are going. And suddenly there is a big fish that comes along and immediately curbs it down. But that doesn't mean we have to be non-vegetarians. We have to eat fish. But the idea is that a devotee is not concerned with petty things in life. He is concerned with the big things in life. Big. What is of value in this life? And that is Krishna consciousness. Other things, small things will happen here and there. This person said this to me last year, or something, that person did that to me, or something like that. Our mind is always thinking of this. But he is concerned with the essence, Krishna consciousness. Because this human form of life we have got after many, many millions of years of transmigration. So all these petty things are not of great consequence. Main thing is we have to focus on Krishna. And that's why Krishna says, tolerate. Tolerate so that you can focus on the goal. Because if we try to solve all the problems, then what happens is that we get engrossed in solving that problem. The problem may never be solved. Or as Prahlad Maharaj says, if you solve the problem, it may create another problem. Generally, material life is like that. You try to solve one problem, but the solution to that material solution to a material problem creates another problem. So you have to tolerate. Of course, that doesn't mean if we are sick, we don't see a doctor or anything like that. But there are many things beyond our control, and we learn to tolerate and remain focused on the goal. So that is about crane. In the BTG magazine, before there was a nice article by Giriraj Swami. He says, time for Krishna. So once a teacher, he brought a jar into the classroom, and he filled it up with big rocks. And he asked the students, is the jar full? And the students said, yeah, it looks like full, it's up to the top. Then the teacher took some sand, some fine pebbles, and put it in the jar. So all the pebbles, went in between the spaces between the rocks. Then again the teacher is asking, is the jar full? No, the students are not saying anything. They don't know what to expect. Then finally the teacher takes a mug of water, pours it into the jar, and it also everything gets absorbed. So the conclusion is, if you get the big things in life first, the rocks, then small things can be accommodated. If you get your Krishna consciousness right, the practices of Krishna consciousness right, then other small things will be adjusted in life. Your job, your other things, whatever, it will be adjusted to the extent, it is possible in this world. But if you concentrate on getting the small things, if you put the water in first and then you try to put the rocks, the water is going to spill out. Right? If the teacher had put water in the jar and then put the rocks. So the priority in life should be given to Krishna consciousness. And then everything else will be automatically adjusted. And many devotees have experience of this. Guru Krishna Prabhu can also say, Sudevi Mataji can say, that other things fall in place if you have Krishna in your life. So that is the example of praying. And then it says about you. Why you? Because you selflessly served others before taking yourself to prasadam. You served others. So advancement in spiritual life, or person who is close to God, he wants to serve others rather than be served by others. So I was thinking this was a nice way to put it in a story form. This actually happened, so this is not like some made-up story or something like that. This is a history, and Ananta Acharya and Parashar Bhatta. So these are the qualities of a person who is close to God. So we can examine ourselves as we make spiritual advancement.